In this video, I'm going to show you some tricks to painting and creating objects in Adobe Illustrator. And these are tools that you can use throughout all the work that you're going to be making as we look at Illustrator. So first, we're going to open up Illustrator. And I have already opened a few windows in Illustrator just with a very simple background. I've just applied essentially what I did is, let me just kind of get rid of this, just sort of have a background. Basically, all I did is I came over to your rectangle tool and made a huge rectangle. I already had a fill. When I first put it up, there was no color. It was just like that. And so then I just added fill and picked just kind of a pretty blue. And what we're going to do, let's first get it in the screen, fit artboard window. And what we're going to do is, it's going to drive me crazy. There we go. Let's start by making just a sphere and how I would create like a three-dimensional sphere in Illustrator. So go to your rectangle tool, left click it, hold it down till you get all your selections. Pick your ellipse tool. Let's come over somewhere in the center of the artboard. You're going to hold down your shift key and drag your mouse to create. Notice how it has the crosshair in it. That means it's keeping it a circle. It's not going to make an ellipse. It's going to make a circle. So we're going to kind of make the size we want right there. Then what we want to do is let's fill it with a color. Let's just go red. And how do I make this look not just like a flat circular shape, but an actual sphere? So the way we're going to do this is go over, and you'll notice here this gradient tool. We're going to click that, and we're going to go in and double click the object. And right now it's black and white. You have this slider bar. So what we're going to do though to make it more of a three-dimensional shape, let's first get back to our color. So you can just left double click that little slider. We're going to go back to the red, and we're going to leave this side white just like it is. And you notice as I move this in, it changes where that is. And you can also, this entire slider bar, you can change its size, which helps to sort of make the gradient more subtle. Like the closer it is, the gradient from a dark value to a light value is very harsh. But if you make this larger, the gradient is slower. It's more, it is larger. Does that make sense? So what we're going to do, and then you can turn this like that. You can also then rotate this. Let's say that we want, you hold it kind of right over one end, and then you can change it like that. We're going to bring this like that. This center will kind of allow us to change, where, yeah, like that. There we go. So you can kind of just play with it till you kind of get it like you want. And there we go. That looks pretty good. Well, let's not stop there. If you've taken drawing classes, you know that when you have a three-dimensional object, you have reflections. You'll have another reflection that comes off the surface of the floor that hits on this side. So you probably are asking, well, how do we do this? Well, we can go into our pen shape, hit this, and go in and sort of draw on top of this shape. Now, don't worry if it doesn't look too, just bear with me on it. And we're going to create kind of a half moon shape here like that. Hit escape to deselect. Go back to your gradient tool. Gradient tool, double click that. There we go. And this time what we're going to do is double click this, hit your eyedropper, and you're going to eye drop somewhere around this side of the sphere, like so. And then we're going to double click this slider, and we want to make it its color something in this area right here. So essentially you're going to go from dark. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, but yeah, let's do this. I kind of screwed this up, so just bear with me. This side, we're going to want it to be white right there. Okay. If we go over to our panels here, you can see the kind of what we're doing. Yep. And and let's change the opacity on this side to 50%. And let's go up to 70%. Okay. We're going to then grab hold of this and rotate it, because this is the reflected light coming from the floor here. We're also going to increase the size of this like so. Maybe bring this in a little bit. And just keep playing with it until you kind of get the effect that you're looking for. Yeah, something like that. Then we can double click this off. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to take the stroke away. You're gonna want, or you're gonna have an outline on that shape. There we go. And that kind of gives you an idea of how to create that. This is a little funky. You can kind of keep messing with it to kind of get that to work better. But it gives you an idea. And then let's put a really hot highlight kind of in this area. And the way I would do that is I'm going to come up and grab an ellipse tool. And I'm going to create an ellipse here. Let's take the stroke down to 0. Let's have nothing inside it. We're going to rotate this. Hit escape, get out of that. There we go. Change the shape a little bit. Let's grab it by selecting your select tool. Move it over here, like in this area. And then to create like a really hot light here, we're going to go back again to the gradient tool, but this time we're going to select this radiant gradient. And as you can see, it's kind of messed up. So the way we're going to fix that is, let's see, let me think for a second. One of these we're going to move to Z. Yeah, this one we're going to do white at 100%, and the other, its opacity is 100. This one's opacity is at 0%. And then you can move this to make it larger or smaller according to how big you want it to be. This will help change. And then you can actually then pull this out also to kind of add a little bit to it. But I think that's pretty good. We don't want a lot. There we go. And then let's see. Let's move back out so you can see what it looks like. There you go. So, you know, and you can keep messing with, then to sort of, oh, let's put a shadow under it. Let's go really crazy here. Grab your ellipse tool. We're going to create sort of a shadow shape beneath it. We're going to clear this out. That's your clear. See that cross through, hit that. So now it's just a shape. Let's kind of move it a little bit more under. Now, this is right now because we just created is in front of the sphere. We want to put it back. So we're going to right click this, arrange, and send backwards. Then we're going to fill it. We'll probably have to send it let's send it all the way to the back and then come one up. So arrange, send to back, then come forward one, arrange, bring forward. Okay, this should work. We're going to fill it. Let's fill it with this color. That looks pretty good. And what we're going to do is sort of make it kind of soft also, so it's not so harsh, or have sort of a gradient to it also. We're going to come back in, hit the gradient tool. Here's the gradient tool, double click this. We're going to hit this side at 100%. We're going to make it this color. This side, we're going to make 0. And then we can kind of play around again with this. Actually, let's switch this around. Let's do the light area on this side. See how I just switched that? And if you want to add like another kind of light area, like on this side, because the light's actually hitting over here too and coming around the side here, the dark would just be in the middle. What you can do is come over to gradient and see how it has this bar. If you hold it just beneath, see how the plus comes up on the selection tool. If you click, it'll add an extra one of these. Then we can make this one 0% also, and we can pull this over like that. Yes. All right, that's looking better. Okay. Oh, again, I'm really bad about forgetting to do. There we go. And there you go. It's not, yeah, I still don't like it. let's go back and make the color come more into the shadow a little bit further. So it just barely starts to fade out. I think that's better. All right. Yeah, something like that. So that kind of gives you an idea how to do this. When you're done, you can, let's select everything. We're going to, let's see, group it. So you select everything and group it. That sort of locks everything down together. And then there we go. When you finish an object like this and you want to save it, the best way to save it is to save as, and save it as an SVG. This way it can be opened in other programs and stuff. And it's the best format to save your projects in if you're not going to work on them anymore. If you want to keep them with all their basically layers, you're going to do it in Adobe Illustrator. We're going to save this as FGV, and we'll save it as sphere 1. Save. Okay. Okay. So that shows how to do a sphere. Now, you might, come across a time where you want, let's put this in view full screen. Let's say you want to create a text and you want to like add some highlights and stuff to a text. You're going to approach it the same way we just did. You would come over and go to the text tool. Basically just sort of lay it down here. Let's go bigger so we can kind of see what we're doing. 72. Let's give it a good font that we're going to work on. We're going to go with my Melted Monster font, and let's do a K. And to make it bigger, what we're going to have to do is we're going to create an outline. If you see on quick actions, this basically turns it into an object that we can manipulate. So we'll do that. And now we can hit shift to a corner and make it quite large so we can kind of see what we're doing. Moving back here. All right. And then what you can do is come in and but that's just the center. So don't worry too much about that. If we want to now come in and start to add some highlights to it, we can. Let's go ahead and change its filling to a different color. Let's make it sort of a sickly green. That's pretty good. No, we're not going to be able to see what we're doing. So let's do something else. Let's do a purple. Yeah, there we go. Let's do that. And then if we wanted to start going in and adding highlights, we're going to do basically the same thing we did with the sphere. We're going to come into it and let's take our pen tool. And I'm just going to kind of make a very simple, let's say, shape on one side of this letter where we're going to sort of highlight it. Don't worry that it's creating that sort of, basically just showing the shape. We're going to take away the fill from that. So now, if you want to make the shape a little bit better, you can zoom in. That's what we're going to do. And you can come in now with your curvature tool, hit this, and you can go in and add more curve points in your path. See how then you can kind of curve all of this and really make it sort of fit the object. Like so. You can bring that in, make another one to come up. And you can kind of go around and really play with it. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so we have a little bit more room for the highlights. But see, and you can completely sort of manipulate this in this way, like that. Let's kind of play with it here a little bit. There we go. Okay, fit artboard and window. And then what I'm going to want to do is select this area. Let's get rid of that stroke around it. And then we're going to add sort of a highlight area to this. So go back to gradient tool, double click here on the, it's not working. Oh, hold on, there we go. Zoom in, see that. Let's see. Why isn't it doing that? Let's see. There it goes. I don't know. I was just having some kind of moment there. So we're going to make this side be the same as the K. So we're going to use the dropper tool and click that right there. Yep. And we're going to let this on this side be white. We're going to extend it. Well, I didn't want to extend. Grab the other side. Yeah, sorry. The one that's the square is the one that you use to do that. Bring this in. Bring this in more. Let's make it bigger. So move it. Let's put it kind of more in the center here. There we go. That gives us more room to work. There we go. You just have to really kind of just play around with it until you get used to how to use the sliders and stuff. And I've, done it some projects with it, and I still kind of forget sometimes how to do certain things. But once you kind of get to where you want it, you can kind of see. There we go. All right. I like that. That looks pretty good. So view in, and see how that's already created it, made the letter more three-dimensional. And then you can kind of go back in and do the same thing on the rest, you know, of, for example, in this case, the K. I'm not going to do any more of it. I just, you know, I could be here all day playing with it. So I'm just basically wanting to show you guys how to do this. So there you go. So that's how you kind of go about taking like an object, a silhouetted object or a letter or something, and adding highlights to it to make it more three-dimensional. You could go in and really do the whole thing. Now, the last thing I want to show you is like if you want to apply like a texture, like if you were doing, for example, shingles on a windmill or a house or something like that. So let's get it to the full size again. Let's start off by making an object that would be sort of like the side of a building, or, you know, the side of a house. So we're going to just make a basic kind of shape like so. Then we're going to change it by grabbing your curvature tool, kind of moving this around a little bit to make sort of a shape kind of like so. Let's make it kind of like that, that, that. Then let's add some curves to it by going to our curvature tool and adding some paths in here that we can kind of curve it. Not like that though. Something kind of along those lines. There we go. Here we go. Yeah. Something along those lines. And then what I would do to create like a texture to go on this, what we're going to do is we're going to copy this. We're going to make two of these, and one's going to have the texture and one's going to be like the background of it. So let's just fill this one with a color. Let's say kind of an orange color like that. That's pretty hot. And then we're going to, let's get rid of that. We're going to then select the, oh, sorry. We're going, sorry. There we go. We're going to select it. What you're going to do to make a copy is you're going to hit Alt and just left click on the object and drag it, and it'll just make a copy of that image that we just had. I'm going to zoom out so we can kind of see. Actually, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a separate artboard that we can work this on this one. That way and then we can drag it back over. So let's make a separate artboard by taking your artboard tool and creating an artboard over here. And then we're going to go back in and select this and pull him over here. And this is the where we're going to, let's put a similar background behind it. Just so we kind of know what the effect's going to be. And I hate working on white, honestly. Nope, hold on. Go back to square. Here we go. Change this to blue. Send this to the back. Range. Send it back. There we go. All right. So let's just make our texture on this guy. And what I would do now is select him. Let's go back. Make it a little bit bigger. Select him. And oh, actually, no, we're going to do it like this. We're going to do a gradient. Double click here. We have a gradient. we're going to click this side's going to be the orange that we were just doing. This side's going to be the white. We're going to kind of play with it a little bit till we get it the way we want it. We're going to curve this around like that, maybe make it bigger. Go in. There we go. Something like that. Okay. Now, let's there we go. So then if we want to go in and start making this, for example, like individual shingles, you can go in and take your eraser tool, and we're going to make it a little bit bigger by using the left bracket bar on your keyboard. Actually, that's too big. Let's go like that. And you can kind of come in and just erase a section out, and it's going to start creating these individual areas like that. You can do this a lot more perfectly than I can. I'm just kind of running through it really fast. Now, the cool thing is after you do this, you can go back in with your gradient tool again, and you can change the gradient on each of these swatches individually. So you could change, some of it, which would make it look better actually, is to change it where some are getting less light, kind of maybe more down here at the bottom, to these up at the top. Oh, and I know something else I want to do. We should have already done it, but it'll make sure that it works out better. Double click these and make this side 0%. Now, right now we're seeing this, but you'll see what I'm doing this when we move it over. So change all these to 0%. I'm going to go as fast as I can. I should have already done this before we cut it, but I'm a little absent-minded, so you guys have to bear with me. Mm-hmm. Zero, escape. Let's go faster if I do escape. 0, 0, 0, just a few more. See, if I'd done this before I went in with the eraser, you wouldn't have to do all this. So my apologies. 0, okay. Then hit escape. Let's see. There we go. Let's get back out, fit all in window. We're going to hit our selection tool. We're going to grab this and drag him back over, put him on this, and let's make it a little bit smaller. Drag it back up. Nope. Well, we're going to have to just do each one individually. So to do this, you can just hit one of them and then drag up and hit select or shift, and it'll select all of them. Then we're going to move this. Well, it didn't do all of them. There we go. Yeah. There we go. Oh, crap. The other thing I didn't do. Let's take this stroke out too. There we go. I always forget to do that. gosh. Well, I've made this a lot more complicated than it had to be. Here, let's just move this out of the way, and that way we can, there we go. There we go. And then move this back here. We'll move this one back here like so. There we go. It can be a pain in the butt sometimes, but let's we'll get rid of this now. And we will zoom in here just so you can kind of see what we get. So you can kind of see how you can use that to sort of create, you know, shingles, or like if you were making an animal, you could do stripes. You can create all kinds of textures on an object simply by using, by doing these kind of techniques. So anyway, I hope that this video kind of helps a little bit, gives you some ideas on some different things you can do with your projects to make them a little bit livelier, a little bit more interesting. So you can use this to apply different textures. You can highlight to give volume to a letter or another object, or you can make, you know, pretty complex three-dimensional shapes.